This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Now, I've long had a troubled, shall we call it, relationship with 80s rock music. I think it stems from the fact that we didn't really hear much rock music on the radio in the 1980s. You couldn't, for example, in 1986, turn on the radio at 10:30 in the morning and hear Bad Company or, Led Zeppelin. It just wasn't that. The radio stations weren't playing that sort of stuff. Apart from 1-2 hour slot on a Friday evening between 10 p.m. and midnight, there was a show called The Friday Rock Show on BBC Radio 1. And, that 2 hours of rock music a week, it was something that all rock fans used to kind of bond over, I think. And even then, though, you still got a lot of that kind of spandex, poodle perm, L'Oreal, Max Factor, glam metal kind of stuff that was, that was the sort of mainstream rock back then. And if it wasn't that, they were playing, all of the kind of speedy thrash metal stuff that was beginning to emerge at that period. And that didn't float my boat either. So I still kept on listening to, the Bad Companies and the Rainbows and the UFOs and the Judas Priest, that I'd kind of, the stuff that I'd discovered in the late 70s, but I wasn't really paying any attention at all to emerging rock music in the mid-80s or mid to late 80s, I guess. It just wasn't for me. I decided to disappear off down a blues rabbit hole, and off I went, thank you very much. But I think I may be being a bit harsh on 80s rock music, because I was listening to Spotify recently, and how you get to the end of an album and it just doesn't stop, it just keeps kind of playing just random selections based upon your musical listening habits that it's learned. And I heard this solo. Or should I say, I heard the song which contained that solo. That is the solo played by a chap called Dangerous Dan Toler from the Greg Allman song I'm No Angel, title track of that album, which came out in 1987. I had no idea in the 80s that rock music like that was getting released, and it's very refreshing to hear it. So Maybe, as I say, I've been a bit harsh on 80s rock music, because I really like that song. Starting to listen to the album now, just kind of, discovering it and enjoying myself immensely with it. But anyway, here's a little bit of an explanation about what's going on in that solo.
Solo explanation.
Okay, so starting as always with what we're playing over here, it's basically 8 times through a 2-chord vamp, which consists of the B chord to an A, to an E, arranged like this. 8 times through that, basically. And it's a chord sequence which has a degree of ambiguity about it, because many people, when kind of playing that or playing over it, will detect or kind of perceive, that's the word I'm looking for, will perceive the B chord as being the natural home chord, the natural kind of resolution point. So you get this kind of thing. And other people will kind of perceive the E chord as being the natural sort of resting point, or tonality as we call it. Like that. And who is right and who is wrong? Well, everyone is right on this one, because, as I say, it's either approach will work. Do you remember a few years ago there was that sort of debate about Sweet Home Alabama? Was it in the key of D because it was centered around a D chord, to a C, to a G, And I think wasn't it Al Cooper, the producer on the session, was saying to Ed King, "That's in D. Why are you playing over it as if it's in G?" And because Ed was obviously hearing the G chord as the tonality there. Technically, the key we're in here with this B, A, and E is the key of E major, but I would tend to agree with those who say that B is the natural resting point, and that means that we're in one of the modes in the key of E major, in the B mixolydian mode. And that is kind of how Dangerous Dan Toler, who I believe played this, yes, I'm just looking at the tab I've got here, he obviously perceives B as being the home tonality as well, because that is very much how he's playing over it. We can make all kinds of claims about, Dorian mode and Mixolydian mode and stuff here, but I think probably the simplest way to look at it is in terms of he's playing B major pentatonic. Most of the action takes place up this end of the neck here. I'll just kind of play. So B major pentatonic. And B minor pentatonic. Like that. You mix those two scales together, which is what we're getting in this solo, and you get basically a couple of different modal kind of combinations of notes will come out. You'll get B mixolydian and you'll get B Dorian. But I'm pretty sure that the way that most players, including Mr. Toler, would play over this is just thinking about weaving those two pentatonics in and out of each other, because it does kind of give it that sort of bluesy kind of thing. It's the phrasing, really, that is the main star of the show in this solo, and we're going to take a look at what I mean by that in a moment. Let's just have a quick run through the licks here. We start off with this little passage here. Like that. Just that kind of high note at the end of that lick there is a nice little touch there. And then we've got... Then we're followed by... that there. You can see coming out of just mainly that pattern there with a couple of notes from... that pattern thrown in, B major and B minor pentatonic, basically. Then we've got pure B minor pentatonic on that one, and you'll notice that we get that sort of blues trope of that kind of bend, that blues curl as it's often called, on the D note, taking it up towards the major third, the D sharp. And then a little bit of B major pentatonic after that B minor. You can make the case that that's coming out of that position of B major pentatonic, just for this. And then again, just major pentatonic sort of stuff, bending up to the fourth there, which is, not in the major pentatonic, but it's, the 4 chord in B is an E chord, so it's no surprise we're getting an E note there, and that's in the minor pentatonic as well. So you can see you can look at that as bending to a note in the minor pentatonic from a note that's in the major pentatonic. Then more of this kind of stuff. Again, that sort of minor to major bend there. Bending that D up to a D sharp. Typical kind of blues sort of stuff. And then we sort of come down to this position down here of B minor pentatonic, which is where most of the rest of the solo is kind of placed. So we get, let's have a look. Like that, just again using a couple of notes from the major pentatonic. Those 2 notes in the major pentatonic, but again that sort of D up to D sharp kind of minor to major bend. And then the last little bit of the solo is where we get a little bit of a flurry of busy kind of sounding stuff. I'll break it down nice and slow. It goes. There we go. So like that's just basically a descending thing in that B minor pentatonic pattern there, but we're on that flat 5, that blue note. Here it is again. You know, using hammer-ons and pull-offs, it's not a particularly demanding lick to get up to speed. So those are, you know, the kind of, that's the nuts and bolts of the solo, the technical aspects of it. But for me, what, as I say, makes it work particularly well is the phrasing. It is very much a case of question and answer type phrasing here, which I hope to demonstrate now if I've got everything lined up right here. So, very much every lick is sort of, is like a pair of licks, if you like, you know, kind of a question and an answer. You know, hopefully illustrated like this. Here's the first pair. And here's the second pair. And another one. Another one. And finally, so that's how I hear that solo. It's very much kind of done in almost the musical equivalent, I guess, of rhyming couplets. You know, a call and response, a question and an answer. And it's that kind of structure that I think makes even the simplest of solos, or the most complex of solos, work magnificently well. So, there you go. Now you know what to do. Go away and have some fun with it. And as always, you'll find a full tab in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a clip of me playing the solo, that explanation you've just seen there, and a jam track to play along with yourself. All of that is up on my Patreon page. There's the address on screen, linked in the description. As I'm sure you know by now, $3 or £2.50 a month gets you access to all of these additional goodies that go along with these YouTube videos. A massive, massive thank you to each and every one of you who support me in that or any of the other ways, all of which are linked down in the description. And that is pretty much it for today, folks. Hope you found the video useful and informative and maybe even a little bit entertaining, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. Why not drop me a like as well while you're at it? Every little helps. Don't forget the live stream every Friday 5 PM UK time, where we drink beer and talk about music and guitars and whatever else crops up, basically. Great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.